I don't know how fake feel, nigga. Cause all my life I've been a real nigga.
What's good with y'all? It's Face the Real. Y'all know what it is, and it may sound like it, but there's no malice in my intent. That's real. So, the Disney fantasy. We as a people have been shown that fantasy as well as sold that dream at a very young age. We were shown films of genuine love stories that defeated the odds of their environments and the adversity of their peers. The end result, as well as the lesson at the end of the day, was that love conquers all. However, when you put this belief into practice in the real world, it just doesn't line up. Disclaimer: I personally checked out of dating about a year ago. If you still decide to date, that's on you with your money, your mind state, your time, and your own personal well-being. The Disney fantasy has done more harm than good since it instilled unrealistic expectations of the opposite sex at a young age. Speaking on boys specifically, since I was one, the whole sentiment of treating a woman right, even if she's playing hard to get, is damaging. In the films, we are taught as young boys that just because a girl is showing zero interest, then that doesn't mean she isn't interested. It also means that you just aren't doing enough of something to gain her attraction. This is under a false pretense, since if a woman says no or she is showing zero signs of interest, then you need to take that to heart and move around. It should also be said that if a woman is not feeling you in the present moment, then there is a chance she would never feel you like that in the future. Not saying it's impossible to gain attraction from a woman over time, but usually this is not the case. Women know what they want, and if it isn't you, they have no issue showing you or letting it be known. The issue with this mind state is that in today's social climate, you can easily be labeled as a creep, a predator, or put on some kind of list. So, if you think a woman is playing hard to get, she isn't playing. Leave her alone. Beyond that, Disney films always show productive families that had some kind of trial that tested the family in various ways. The thing is, whatever trial the family was going through, they will always persevere, giving true to the entire love trumps all way of life. This leaves kids, especially boys, into a false sense of reality that gets shattered as we get older. This is because marriage has been treated like a glorified relationship that can end at any time for any reason. And instead of sharing a life with someone while raising a family, the man ends up stripped of his property, his children, and his money so his ex-wife can live peacefully. In some states, there are cohabitation laws to where you can end up paying child support for a child that isn't yours, or paying money to a girlfriend that you never even married. Going off of stats, marriage has around a 50% success rate, while nearly 80% of marriages are met by divorce due to the women filing for divorce. Some men see this happen to other men and decide to not even bother. Some men actually go through this and end up being a shell of their former selves. While lastly, some men want a taste of any relationship but can never attract a suitable partner to make it happen. The last reason is true for two types of men. The first type of men are the men that never had an issue attracting women, but have seen their true nature and realized long-term relationships aren't feasible in this time and era. The other type of men are men that never had a chance to attract women in abundance, so they are either depressed about it or accepting about it. Either way, in a lot of cases, these men have reached the same destination, which is checking out. Due to these realizations, it can lead a man down a steep path of depression, anger, and regret. Sometimes, if you are anything like myself, this can be all the above. These expectations do nothing except damage a man's mental long-term, and everybody has their own way of coping. Usually, in this day and age, coping is hardly anything positive out the gate, and without guidance, a man can lose himself because of this level of disappointment. When that happens, he is not good to anybody, let alone himself. See, men are simple. In these films, we see a man and a woman living together peacefully with a child or two running around. We see the man go to work and lead the woman to assist with the kids, and she is happy to do so. We see them both in love and a happy home, and everything that occurs leads to them prospering in some way, shape, or form. Most men will tell you they want that, but a lot of men can never get that. In reality, in this era, you have to make a lot of money for that dream to be possible. Furthermore, in most cases, you have to work a lot of hours to make these things happen. This is because since the 90s, the cost of living has greatly increased to the point that one income is barely enough for one person, let alone a family. So, we are in a position where the Disney dream just isn't possible anymore on a financial level, unless you're rich. For example, may Yahweh rest his soul, but my grandfather was a custodian at a college for over 20 years. Off of his one income, working 8-hour days from Monday through Friday, he was able to pay every bill, plus spoil me as well as my own mother. We always had food on the table and never struggled from what I could see. Nowadays, it just isn't possible to work those kind of professions and have a stay-at-home wife, which is something most men want. Also, if by chance you do find a job that trades time with your family for stability, the women of today will eventually step out and leave with the kids since you weren't physically there enough. So, it's a catch-22. The biggest lie that Disney told was how true love is implemented since it does not exist. If it does exist, then it is so rare it is practically a mirage. True love doesn't exist because you can never have two people that love each other unconditionally. From a woman's point of view, if you stop providing for whatever reason, either purposely or you lost your job, then the love will fade until she cannot stand you. That goes for the same thing when it comes to vibes or how she sees you as a man and as a person. For a man, if the woman randomly stops putting out or becomes more of a liability to him than an asset, then the love slowly fades. We aren't taught that most love is conditional. I'm not saying nobody on earth will love you unconditionally, but it is rare that your partner or a lover will have that kind of love for you. That kind of love is reserved for parents to their children and pets to their owners. You can rule children into that as well, but in some cases even that isn't true since you have a lot of children of today's era that have no respect for their parents, but that's another video. The lie that personally got to me is that if you work hard, you will have an easier life later. However, the people I know that went to college for years got out of college and were only gifted huge amounts of debt with no job opportunities in their career path. There are a lot of people that tried their absolute hardest to make something of themselves only to be pushed right back to square one and sit there wondering why they wasted their time and resources in the first place. It's just wild to me that hard work does not pay off in a lot of cases, but we were led to believe otherwise in our childhood. And this goes beyond jobs, as it can be applied to nearly every other aspect of life as well, such as relationships on every level as well. So, in short, we were lied to about true love. We were lied to about being able to support a family as a man off of 1 or 2 incomes with enough time for our families to make it all worth it. We were lied to about the picket fence reality that most of us wanted, but it is so far out of reach, it is not even worth dreaming about anymore. The Disney fantasy is the biggest lie told to children since it gave a false sense of reality and security before adulthood. You graduate high school and assume if you do the right things, you will be well off in a decent career or at the very least decent income, paired with a loving family that is always there for you through whatever, whether it be positive or negative. What we are met with is a true opposite, and it can make or break a person. I do understand women go through similar with the Disney fantasy, but since I am a man, I cannot speak thoroughly on a woman's perspective. I just know that the good women that truly try their hardest to live right and be good, like the men were doing so due to the Disney fantasy and are suffering as a result as well. But yeah, that's the worst thing about the Disney fantasy. It can truly ruin your life if you allow it due to enforcing unrealistic expectations. However, something deep inside me feels like there is still hope, and I wish this was not the case. Well, that's about all I have to say today. What do you think about the Disney fantasy? Did you fall victim to it due to you being raised by the 90s and 2000s Disney movies? Were you able to succeed and live out your own Disney fantasy as an adult? Would you allow your children to succumb to the unrealistic expectation of the Disney fantasy? Also, as a woman, how has the Disney fantasy affected your life? And I want to know, have you or anybody ever overcame this unrealistic expectation? And that goes for men as well. Have you ever overcame this? I have. And I was just reflecting on how it kind of held me back through my teens and most of my 20s. But yeah, please let me know your thoughts down below. The Disney movies are classic, but I just cannot watch them in the same light as I once did. I guess the real world soured that. Besides all that, much love everybody. Face signing up.